Hey there, listeners. Welcome to the Scale My Ecom Store podcast. And I'm your host, Kath Langman. Excited to have you here with me in this episode today. Now, I know not all of you listeners have been in business for many years, but some of you have. And even as consumers, I'm sure you would remember back in the COVID boom years when e-commerce, was just going nuts. It felt kind of like an endless money machine. Customers were stuck at home, governments everywhere were handing out cash. So pretty much customers had a lot of free time and more spare money. So what do? What did we all do? We shopped online and e-commerce sales skyrocketed, which what felt like, in hindsight, almost zero effort. And at that time, paid ads were really cheap, traffic was easier to get to our websites. Brands were scaling like crazy, even without a solid marketing strategy. Now, if you launched your business during that period of time, I'm sure, like it's only human nature it's a little bit like if you have your first baby and they are just a really easy, great baby. We kind of put it down to our own genius. I'm really good at this business owner gig or parenting gig. And then, things get a little trickier, or you have a second baby who just is the polar opposite, and you realize, maybe I wasn't quite so smart at all of this stuff. But if you did have a business during that time, you probably thought, wow, this is incredible. But fast forward to today, and the game has changed entirely. And I know so many businesses where, they're just feeling the cash flow squeeze. And so if that's where you're at right now and it's just a constant juggle, you're not alone. And I want to talk with you about why this is happening and, more importantly, how to, get your business on the road to recovery and fixing this properly. And now, before we get to it, I do want to let you know that I actually have a brand new live and interactive workshop coming up. It's going to be running for one day only next Friday, the 28th of February. And this workshop is about how to rapidly grow an audience of paying customers. Because, of course, if you don't have an engaged audience, you really don't have anyone to sell to. And, there's far too many businesses in that situation where, they're really trying to create like the best offers and the best ads and this, that, and the other. And in the reality, they're kind of shouting into a void because they don't have that engaged audience. And, the reality is that every single successful e-commerce brand has mastered this one crucial step. And that is a way to quickly build a high quality audience of paying customers. Without that step in place, you will inevitably keep spinning your wheels. You'll be battling low engagement, expensive ads, and disappointing sales. And frankly, this is the biggest mistake that I am seeing e-commerce brands making right now. It's been a bit like that over the last year, in fact. So in this upcoming workshop, I'm going to show you how you can fix this and start building the audience that your brand needs to thrive. Attending this workshop live on Zoom is free. So if you would like to register, you can head to katherinelangman.com/workshop. All right, let's dive in to the topic at hand. And, really, what has changed and why is it so much harder to make money right now? And I'm not going to discount the fact that, the economy has been a tough economy to have a business in. We've all been in that boat. But really the last 2 years have been like that. It's been a tough competitive environment. We've all been in that boat. But at the same time, there are some businesses that are dying and some businesses that are absolutely thriving. In fact, quite a few businesses, many that we work with, but others as well around Australia, New Zealand, internationally, are actually doing better in this particularly challenging environment. So I don't want you to kind of use the economy as an excuse here is what I'm getting at. Because yes, it's tough, but it's not an impossibility to thrive in this environment. So it has been a bit of a rude awakening over the last couple of years for many e-commerce brands. And I want to break down for you the biggest shifts of why this is happening. And so the first one that I really want to talk about is that paid advertising is way more expensive. So paid advertising, and I'm talking social media and Google and any digital advertising, has become far more expensive. And partly this has happened after new privacy and tracking constraints were introduced a few years ago. And this, essentially those changes to those platforms made it harder to place ads in front of the right people or to analyze the effectiveness of the ads. And so when I say it's harder to place ads in front of the right people, so essentially in the past, we had so much data at our fingertips in these ad platforms. We could be super, super granular in terms of our targeting. And really, we didn't have to be all that clever with ads because these algorithms and platforms were pretty much able to just put the ads in front of the right people. That was really taken away from us. And so, we have to work harder. We can't be so lazy with our ads and with our marketing if we really want to get the attention of the right people, the people who are likely to buy from us. But partly these increasing costs also happened because so many more businesses shifted online during COVID. They had to because, there were lockdowns and people couldn't, leave the house to go in store, and nor could the shop workers or the service business workers. And so, these businesses that moved online also started paying for ads. And, that essentially just bumps up the competition for ad inventory. And then partly the increase in costs for advertising has happened because Google no longer shares quite so many clicks outside of Google-owned platforms. They really want to keep their eyeballs within the Google ecosystem. And so what this means, and I've talked about this on the show a few times, getting free organic search traffic has become very, very difficult. Obviously, brands have to get traffic from somewhere. So if there isn't much free search traffic and clicks leaving the Google ecosystem, then the only way to get that traffic is to pay for it, again, bumping up competition and therefore costs. Something else that is happening these days as well is, of course, the rise of AI. And, how does this come into traffic? And so something that I've been noticing, and this is observing much younger generations than me. I have young adult, still teenagers, but two young adult sons in the house. And they don't go to Google because, Google's kind of become a little bit of a cesspit in terms of, the quality of the content on there. Often it's just either old or irrelevant, or it's just, full of Reddit threads and things like that. So the young people don't actually go there. They go to ChatGPT and literally have a conversation with ChatGPT. And so, they're looking for the back and forth discussion that's super relevant to their inquiry, and then, getting some referrals and recommendations that way. And so, that really changes the game in terms of, how are we actually getting that referral traffic if it's not going to be from Google organic search anymore. Now, the second big shift and change that has really impacted, the ability of e-commerce businesses to thrive is and to be profitable is the stock and their discounting, constant discounting. So on top of the fact that traffic has become so much more expensive and harder to get, many brands came out of COVID boom times with a lot more, lots and lots of excess stock, because they had invested in a lot of stock at a time when stock was selling through much more quickly and efficiently. And of course, over the last couple of years, that has really tapered off. And, so all of a sudden, this inventory was not selling through so quickly or easily. And I think, with customers back at work, inflation and interest rates out of control, and no more government handouts, customers also had less to spend. So, brands really have started discounting a lot more and more often. So, bigger discounts and more frequent discounts just to move that stock. And of course, that hurts profitability. And also, it conditions your customers to sit back and wait because they're expecting a sale around the corner anytime now. And then a lot of these brands have really entered this vicious cycle of discounting and cash flow struggles. Discounting has become what seems like an easy way to get your ads to convert at a higher return on ad spend. So a lot of brands are doing that. But, also this is at a time where a lot of the time it's our repeat customers buying on sale. So attracting and converting new customers is often still harder and more expensive to achieve. But with higher ad costs and lower profit margins after discounts, this really starts to put a serious strain on cash flow. Not to mention at the same time, a lot of us have had much higher cost of goods as well, whether that's because, the cost of freight has gone up so massively, whether it's because the exchange rate is pretty crummy. So if you're like me, you're buying components or inventory in US dollars and trying to pay for that with the Aussie dollar, that's not much fun. But just generally, cost of goods have gone up. So again, between the discounting and the increased cost of goods, our margins have been constrained a lot. So brands are therefore, less inclined to invest the effort or the money in the more expensive new customer acquisition. So advertising to cold audiences, really prospecting for new customers without always going after the low-hanging fruit of your warm audiences and your returning customers. So they just end up relying on those returning customers and sharing more discounts to entice them back. And trying to just maintain what looks like a good return on ad spend in your ad platform. And it becomes this really vicious cycle that is hard to break. But it is a cycle. It is a vicious cycle, and it's becoming less and less profitable over time. So it is necessary to try and break this if you want to forge a path back to profitable growth. So, maybe have a good solid think about whether this is a bit of a familiar cycle in your business. If it is, I don't want you to be worrying too much because there is a way out of this cycle. So how do we break this cycle and build profitable growth? So really the first key to fixing your cash flow issues isn't cutting costs or running more discounts. It's actually going to be kind of drawing a line in the sand and saying, making a commitment that you won't accept that as a solution anymore. What it needs to be about is generating demand the right way. And how do we do that? And so the first thing that is super necessary, and again, like this is, if you weren't running a business before the COVID boom time for e-commerce, you probably have been able to, well, even before that, like with meta ads, for example, it was just like fishing in a barrel, really. You really did not have to truly understand your customer or put much effort into your ad creatives or anything like that, So the first part of the solution is going to be understanding your customer on a much deeper level. What are their biggest pain points, desires, and needs? You can't guess at this stuff, and you certainly can't copy what your competitors are doing or what your friends in other e-commerce businesses are doing, because it's not going to be right for your brand. Well, it shouldn't be, because all brands really ought to have their own unique points of difference in order to thrive and to build a, what I like to refer as a premium brand as opposed to a discount brand, right? So, really needing to understand your customers' pain points, desires, and needs on a much deeper level, and then speak to those in your marketing. So it's not, hey, we have a product, come and buy it. It becomes much more about, those pain points and the outcome that they really want to experience. I've probably not used this analogy on the show for some time. I've certainly used it in the past, but people don't buy a mattress, they buy a good night's sleep. And so, we really need to find out what is it for your customers. And there's going to be more than one generally, especially if you sell more than one product. Probably you'll be able to find some common groups of pain points, needs, and desires. And you want to target the ones that are more prevalent in your prospective audience, so that because that's worthwhile from a volume perspective, right? And from there, you need to become a master storyteller. So, again, people aren't buying products, they're buying stories, they're buying transformation, they're buying emotion. And the reality is, pretty much all of us, not 100% of us, but pretty much all of us are making our purchase decisions based on emotion, not logic. And, so if we spend all our time in our marketing just focusing on the features of our product and what it does, how it works, that kind of thing, we're really missing out on engaging your prospective customer from a more emotional perspective. And so, what really kind of engages one's emotions? First of all, just practical facts and stats won't do it. And storytelling is going to be a much better means of communicating, storytelling in words as well as in imagery, photographs, video, all of that kind of stuff. There's so many different angles that you can take in storytelling. But it is going to evoke the emotional response that you want more reliably, and it's also going to be more memorable. There's a reason why our Indigenous communities have, for generations, over, thousands and thousands of years, they've used storytelling to share their history and their culture from generation to generation. And the reason they do that is, maybe originally it's because they couldn't write and read, but more than that, though, it's because that's how people remember. And if you want your prospective customers to remember your business and brand and your products next time they need something from your product category, then you need to give them that information in a memorable way, right? So have a think about some viral brands that you follow and what is their story? Why do people care? There's a few that I always love to follow. One would have to be Who Gives a Crap. I always love their content. It is really, really engaging. It's pretty humorous. That's probably why I love it. But you need to find the viral brands potentially in your space, but also complementary products, and just really try and decipher what is their story and why are customers really engaging with them? Why do people care? And from there, we want to pivot into a couple of other parts of the solution. Number one is trying to expand your product offering so that you can increase your, perhaps the basket size and increase the frequency and, the number of times that customers buy from you, but also extend the lifetime of a customer as well. Can you make and or sell complementary products to your existing customers? Also, different new products can help you to bring more new customers in. Can you create bundles or subscriptions as well? There's a number of different ways that you can bring product innovation into the way that you are running and promoting your business. At the end of the day, if you keep just selling the same thing over and over again, you do run the risk of really struggling to scale and grow profitably, particularly when you think that, paying for traffic or just getting traffic is hard, but also paying for it is more expensive. Like if you can make more money from every order, but also from every customer over time, and you can make more money from those customers over time faster than you used to because you can bring them back more quickly, then you are going to thrive in this current environment where other brands are going to really struggle because traffic costs too much and they don't have the margin to be able to afford it. And then number 4, we want to be running peak promotional events instead of constant discounts. And so, why this helps is because it gives customers a reason to buy now. New product launches, it could be seasonal product launches. They might not be a new product per se, but it could be just the season where the demand is high. Limited editions, and other special kind of promotional events. We've got a client at the moment who is working on running a bespoke in-person event. And, that's a little bit different and exciting. And, it gives you something new and different to talk about with your audience and to bring those returning customers back again and again. And, it gives you customers something to talk about and share about your brand as well. Obviously, that's not for everybody, but it's a cool idea. And, when we can really try and focus on those kind of peak promotional events, it helps to really build anticipation and excitement rather than training people to wait for these constant regular discounts. Now, caveat here, yes, it's fine to use discounts sometimes, but if you want to build a premium brand rather than a discount brand, you don't want to use them really frequently, or you will train your customers to sit back and wait for a deal. And also, something that was a really great takeaway out of last year's Black Friday promo was actually that the bigger discounts didn't perform as well as the discounts that were around 20 to 25%, I think was the average best performing offer. So when you are discounting, perhaps for Black Friday, maybe an end of financial year sale, a couple of times a year, is totally fine, right? Don't make it a huge discount because your customers don't need it. At the end of the day, we can't escape from the fact that all humans are going to make a value judgment based on price. So if you're giving people a 60% discount, nobody's going to think that's a really high quality product. So yes, there are a bunch of other tactical things that also need to happen when it comes to fixing a cash flow crunch scenario. Things like constantly optimizing your website and your product pages so that we're increasing the add to cart rate and increasing the conversion rate and increasing your average order value. Obviously, if we can get incremental gains with those metrics over time, then again, we are going to be more profitable off that paid traffic, right? So we want to make sure that your store really is built for conversions, has really clear messaging. It really clearly communicates that product value statement to your audience. We want to, make sure that the website is, fast loading, easy to check out, especially on mobile. All of that kind of, technical stuff is, really optimized to the best of your capacity. And, accept that a website is always a work in progress. These things are never finished. There's always, it should be that iterative approach so that you are always working to improve it. And next, really making sure that you are dialing in things like your email and SMS marketing, especially your list building and your automated flows. So, for the new customers, your welcome flow, your abandoned flows, browse, cart, checkout, even, like your replenishment flows, post-purchase, upsell flows, win-back flows, all, anniversary flow. There's again, depends on the brand, what's going to be the most relevant to your brand, but there's a lot of opportunity to make money on autopilot and to, again, increase your new customer conversions and your retention rate so that you are extending the lifetime value of your customers as well. And then, of course, don't just sell the product, sell the transformation. So that means really focusing on communicating in the right content or the right messaging and stories in your ads. So ad creatives are the new targeting when it comes to advertising. Now, this episode is not specifically about, how do you nail your advertising to get traffic at a profit, traffic and sales at a profit. But, in a limited nutshell here, our ad creatives are our method of targeting these days. The way that the ad algorithms work, we have to make sure that our ad creatives are designed to pull in and attract and engage the right audiences. So again, we can't rely on targeting with these algorithms anymore to just place the ad in front of the right people. We need to use our ad creatives to do that for us. Again, being able to do that is going to require that really deep understanding of your customers. But, bottom line, you still have to remember that none of that is going to work if you aren't actively engaging with your customers or your prospective customers and compelling them to engage with you in the first place. As one of the old original advertising gurus, David Ogilvy, said some time ago, you can't bore people into buying your product. You can only interest them into buying it. So you have to ask yourself, what is an interesting story I could tell about my product that spreads organically and drives demand? Now, as many of you know, I acquired Indigaro Natural Beauty last June, and skincare and beauty brands, they absolutely exploded during COVID. So lots and lots of competition. So right now, the market is quite flooded. It's very, very intensely competitive, making it harder than ever to stand out. And even with the best ad team and the best ad creatives in place, attracting new customers is still challenging. So instead of just throwing more money at ads, what we've been doing is focusing on that, really deep customer understanding. We've been talking to our customers, we've been listening to their concerns, and we've been working at positioning our products as the best solution to those specific needs and wants. And then working on our storytelling, of course. So, sharing real stories from women dealing with the visible skin issues, the signs of aging and the hair loss, as well as, the women who tell us that they don't know what they need to use. They don't want to have a complicated skincare routine. All of these, unique pain points, needs, wants, and desires, and then showing the journeys and transformations that our products have helped our customers have. We've been working on new product development. We've been introducing complementary products but also complementary sizes as well, so trial sizes, in an effort to both increase conversion rate, order values, and repeat purchase rates as well. We have been, utilizing the peak promotional event strategy as well. So yes, we still run discount promos, but we're also running other promotional events that really help to create urgency and excitement. And the result, 6 months down the track, or 7 months down the track, is a profitable, sustainable business model that isn't reliant on constant discounts just to survive. So what do you do next with where you're at right now? If you are feeling the cash flow squeeze, you need to take a step back and reassess how you are running and growing your brand, because the businesses that thrive in 2025 and beyond will be the ones that understand their customers the best, tell the best stories, and really manage to build demand, not just chase cheap clicks with discounts. So if you want to learn more about achieving this, then you want to, first of all, attend my workshop next Friday. And again, you can sign up. It's live, free to attend live. You can sign up by heading to katherinelangman.com/workshop. We will, of course, include the link to that in the podcast show notes for this episode. And then you can also check out our Productpreneur Academy. So this is a program where we help e-commerce founders grow from 10 to 20K monthly revenues to 100K monthly revenues plus without burning out, without throwing money at ineffective ads and all of that jazz. So, and doing it rapidly and sustainably. Now, if you found today's episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe, and I would love it if you would share this with a fellow e-commerce founder who really needs to hear this. But for now, thanks again for tuning into the Scale My E-com Store podcast. I look forward to being in your ears again this time next week. Bye for now.